What is going on, people? Now we got a 3.2 billion might player being zeroed by LH family. Now I actually came in a little bit late. He was already at 2.8 and only about 169 million kills, but don't worry, those kills were gonna go up. Also, a big shout out to everybody that let me know that this was going on in game. There was quite a few of you, so I appreciate you guys looking out for me. Thank you guys so much. So I was actually kind of curious as to why this guy was being rallied, and why, first of all, why was he in that gear? Not only did he have Monster Hunt gear, which, okay, I can kind of see that, but in his Monster Hunt gear, he also had the Bumblebee chest play, like what? And then he also had a mythic Iris. That's just very weird combination. Like, usually you don't wear random stuff like that, but hey, it is what it is. It made the LH family lives much easier, and everybody at the beginning was going cavalry, so it definitely seemed like he was in either an infantry phalanx or an infantry wedge. I honestly think though that he was in an infantry wedge, because not too long after all the rallies for cavalry stopped, everybody started going range, and at first it actually was not doing too much damage. I believe once they all started range, it was only really doing about 5 million or so, and then after quite a few waves, then it started kind of going up into the 10 million, and then eventually 20 million, etc. Now, I also kind of wonder why a player like this, that is over 3 billion might, not only did he have a bunch of T3, and when I mean by a bunch, I'm talking like over 20 to 25 million plus T3. So I don't know if this was like an old composition that a lot of people used back, I don't know, like two or 3 years ago, where everybody was just stocking up on T3 and T4. But ever since, you know, at the T2, T4 movement, T3 is kind of looked at as like, okay, that's a target we gotta hit, just because of the might to strength ratio that T3 provides. It's not really the greatest. So a player like this that gets up to 3 billion plus might, not only does it hinders their migration, but I honestly automatically thought that he was going to be max research, and no, he was definitely not max research. One other thing to note here is that this is when I started noticing, like, okay, range isn't really doing too much, but eventually in an infantry wedge, the infantry is going to disappear with enough rallies. So eventually this range is going to start hitting cavalry in range, and when that starts happening, you're going to see the drops being a little bit more significant, because I mean, you gotta remember, they're still hitting over 100 million troops, and you're capped at 2.3 million. So yeah, I mean, even if you're fully countering them, you're still not going to do too much damage, because that army is just going to absolutely destroy you. I also noticed that there were a couple of people here that were sending leaderless rallies, which I guess it can be kind of smart if you want to minimize the losses, but he did have a full prison, so even if you sent your leader, it wasn't going to get capped. The only reason I guess you would really send a T2 T4 marches without a leader is to minimize the T4 dead that you would have, and then maybe you can start sending your leader once the range hits were doing a little bit more damage, and I believe that's what a couple of them were doing here. But I gotta tell you, man, DLB Maddie, and how do you okay, I had a little joke that I was like, okay, how do you say that name? It's the guy that's right next to the Emperor. They were hitting like trucks, like everybody that was doing 5 to 10 million, and then they will come in there and they will do like double that. Like, these guys are absolute beasts, like, jeez. But yeah, now you're starting to see that the drops are getting a little bit more significant. You're kind of starting to see it getting into the 10-20 million might drops each go. And I honestly didn't count that many rallies. I honestly only counted like maybe 8 to 10, or maybe there was more, but because they were so spread out, nobody was going really at the same time. It was kind of just like, okay, hit whenever you can hit. It did seem like maybe there was less rallies than maybe what there really were, but it really only felt like there was about 8 to 10 real rallies going at the same time. So it makes it even more impressive when you think about doing it with 10, maybe 12 rallies, zeroing a 3.2 billion mite player. Like, if you have 30 to 40 rallies, I mean, eventually just sheer numbers is going to give out. But yeah, it just didn't seem like there was that many rallies. So big ups to them, man. That's actually really, really impressive. And here we go. Now the range rallies are really starting to take shape. This is when I actually like really start noticing, okay, if he keeps taking these hits, he is going to burn rather soon, because even though he is still over 2 billion might, his numbers are dwindling. And look at that range set. I am jealous. Like, please, can I borrow that range set? Either way, so yeah, even though he was over still 2 billion might, I'm thinking, yo, this guy's gonna burn pretty soon, because these rallies are now really starting to take shape. And when you start zeroing somebody of this size, let me just tell you, let me tell you how it goes. At first, everybody's kind of like, damn, we're taking heavy losses. You know, you kind of start wondering, damn, is this really worth it? Because we're barely scratching the dude. 5 million, 4 million, this and that. So everybody's kind of like, But then when you go from 4 to 5 million drops to 20 to 30 to 40, everybody starts getting like that second wind. Like, oh, wait, we're actually going to do this. And that's when people really start taking advantage. And look at Maddie. Look at this dumpster truck. Everybody's doing like 10, 15. And this dude is out here just freaking doing 23. What a freaking monster. But now you're starting to wonder, okay, this dude is really, he's about to drop under 2 billion. And at this time, I really still thought that this dude was max research. So I'm thinking, okay, if you have a base might of about 1.2 billion might, give or take, let's say, right? Yeah, you're gonna burn soon when you only have Cav and ranged. So I was like, okay, I'll give him maybe like 1 or 2 more waves. And once you see fire, oh my god, that's when people really, really get their second wind. So here comes DLB Maddie with that freaking amazing set, let me just say. And look at this, 1932. And here is the money shot, because everybody is just kind of waiting for DLB Maddie to give the really nice hit, right? 1776, that was a big drop. That was a big drop. I honestly thought that DLB Maddie was the one that was going to end up actually burning him, but it was not. It was actually, how do you do with that fire? This is when it was really rip. When you, not only does, okay, this accomplishes 2 things. Not only do you get the fire, meaning that everything that you've done up to this point was definitely worth it, but it actually releases all of the leaders, which means that he no longer has a prison boost. And that's a pretty significant boost. And yeah, now you're going to start seeing the 100 million drops, because at this point, he probably only has ranged or cavalry, and they're just getting peppered. So you start at 3.2 billion. Now you're at 1.5 billion. And let me tell you, 1.5 billion is still not really nothing to sneeze at. But in this case, yeah, look at this. Over 100 million might drop in that hit. And now everybody's just seeing blood. Now everybody's like a shark in the water. 3.2 billion might has to be up there with one of the highest zeros that I can remember. I'm pretty sure there was another one that was a higher. I believe there was once a 4 billion. I don't really recall if they were zeroed or if it was just an attempt. But still, this one is definitely up there as one of the biggest zeros in the game for sure. And look at this, 13-17. And at this point, the dude is done for regardless. It's just a matter of how many more rallies can he take. Maybe 5 or 6 at most. But when you have a monster like DLB Maddie, and how you doing? How you doing? Ready to launch at you. Yeah. it's game over. So yeah, this was really impressive. I really wonder if they knew somehow that this dude had been offline for a long time. He was in a guild with only 2 other guildmates, so I don't know if the dude just actually quit or what the story is behind it. But if he didn't quit before this, well, he probably quit now. So he's about to drop under 1 billion. This one I also realized, like, okay, this dude is not max research. And then I start wondering, oh my god, how much is he gonna drop? Is he gonna go to 900 million, 800 million? Like, what's this guy's actual base might? Because that is definitely not max research. And here comes the last couple of hits. DLB, Maddie, the Emperor with one of the really big money shots here. Bow. And 893. And then of course you're gonna have How You Doing coming in right after, which is going to be the one right there. Bow. That's gonna go ahead and take the leader. So 809 was his base smite. Prisoner taken. 3.2 billion might to 809. I mean, he did get his kills up rather quickly, because it looks like his kills was probably like around in the 100 million. So hey, you're at 343 million, and probably your kills to might killed ratio is pretty good, I bet. So yeah, yo, shout outs to the LH family, man. That was a very impressive 0. But yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and for everyone that told me what was going on. And until later, bye.